So it is a cooperative relationship, even though we may be recommending denial of a lot of applications. And most applications that come in where the commissioners don't approve it on the first try, I'd say 99.9% of the time the staff's comments are recommending either denial or substantial modifications. The staff does not go in with supporting staff comments on a regular basis. So that's just something you should keep in mind. Even if the applicants think that the staff is supporting them, that is not necessarily the case. We are always giving them the issues, and our staff comments are private. They don't necessarily know what our staff comments say.
And I just want to follow up. We'll talk about this also for the first time, an express revocation provision in the permits that allow. But you know, the point is, this was a commission level application. It would sounds like it would still be a commission level application. And and one of the things about this is that the staff that's the point of commission level things is to get more information from the community. But let's take the example where there's misrepresentations. Okay, under the current rules, it turns out it was built. If someone told us and said, "Look, it's way bigger than everything," we would say, "What happened here? You said here X, Y, and Z. You provided the following information," and that would be considered something that we would take to the commission, and the commission would have to decide what to do with it at that point. Okay, now that's not an ideal situation, but look, this is the reality. We can't go to everyone's rear yard and measure stuff. We do go to site visits, and we do look at the rear yards in addition to asking for site plans.
Go to site
on occasion.
Yeah. But not for staff level, but for commission level stuff.
That's what you want.
Right. Okay, so I mean, I know that it's not a perfect answer, right?
No,
it sounds like, but the irony is, it sounds like the process works.
It only because we stepped in. It only works because we stepped in, and that's the issue.
That maybe is probably true, but it's not necessarily true because it was going to the commission. The commission's going to look at it, and the commission, you know, things get reduced all the time, and people come in. You have to understand. Following up on what Sarah said, we can say to a staff person 100 times, applicant. Sorry, this has very little chance of being approved. At some point they say, I want my day in court in front of the commission. And it goes forward, the staff will say denial. But the staff will say approval of modifications. The modifications being substantially reduce the size of this rear yard addition. And that's the process. Because again, it's someone's home. The law says they're entitled to present something to the commission. They're entitled to do it. The staff's job is to try, to the extent we can, to not make it a waste of everyone's time by bringing something that's DOA when it walks in the door, because that doesn't help anybody. We've wasted the volunteer commissioner's time. We've wasted applicants' money. We've wasted staff time. Maybe some people have been bumped off this calendar who have an application that really could be approved. Now they have to wait 2 weeks. Okay, so there's the process is always going to be the process.
I guess I'm just a little bit skeptical if the staff in fact made a site visit, given that
Again, we don't know what the staff's
I don't either, and I'm just saying that what was presented to the staff, and this is my concern, was very different from what existed in the donut. And I guess if there's not going to be a public hearing, and an architect comes in and presents that in fact the donut looks like X, when in fact it doesn't look like that at all, how are you guys going to know that?
Well, they are required to give us sandboard maps. The staff does go and look to see.
Okay, well, so what happened in this instance? How did it
go through? Yeah, it worked. People have questions.
You had mentioned that the staff couldn't approve a rear yard addition if there's already a rooftop addition in the back.
That's the proposal.
That's the proposal.
Okay. Do you have parameters for the bulk of that existing rear yard addition? I know a lot of older buildings have like historic kind of L additions or the kind of Greenwich Village studio additions. Are those counted? Are they 1 story? Are they 3 story? What is the?
Those are counted.
So any addition of any type in the rear or on the roof, right, is considered.
So again, this is, and I just want to make this is a very big thing. The commissioners they've said we want to consider this, we want to public testimony, but this is something that is and we'll see how all of it makes sense. Should they say, wait, this doesn't make sense, we need to define it, to exclude the historic L? I mean, I don't even know how they're gonna do it, okay? Yeah, yeah, Terry.
My neighbors all over are very concerned about where you are. It's become a major concern because there's been in many people's minds a relentless approach into the rear yard. You define your property in terms of height and specific references to measurement throughout the regulations, but when it comes to a rear yard addition, there's no suggestion that it be less than 7 feet or less than 10 feet. But instead of considering the entire rear yard, because, we feel that space is part of the historic fabric envelope, and many people do, even though it's not visible from the public way. When you live in a row house, people who buy those kinds of houses think of donuts, and there are many donuts even in Manhattan, even in the Upper East Side, they're still very intact. Instead of considering the entire rear yard, why can't you consider the space from the rear of the building to where a 30-foot required rear yard begins as the space you would be entertaining for a possible rear yard addition? You're talking about as long as it doesn't go to the rear lot line.
No, but we also
It
say that it
lot line.
has to comply with zoning.
Yeah, I know, but that you have two separate rules. Proposed addition will not extend to your lot line. And then you continue along, and it says the proposed road applies to the zoning regulations.
It requires a 30.
That's sort of redundant, because if it complies with zoning regulations, there would be a 30-foot required rear yard. Now, that can't exist in many situations, because as you stated earlier, buildings are built deeper or not so deep. I'm just wondering about the standards in this section, because you don't know the history of the existing units. You don't know if they're illegal. You don't know if they're grandfathered. We had, I see David over there, co-chair of our landmark committee team, where they built applications, which was really egregious in our minds. It was a huge addition. Went to the commission. There was an existing addition next to it, which was humongous. That existing condition should never have been used as a standard for measurement for the new addition, because there was a whole history that was connected to that existing addition. This was a virtually pristine donut. So I'm hoping you will look at this even more closely, or let the record be open, because there are groups from all over the city who are very concerned about the encroachment into rear yards, not just in historic districts, for the benefit of the city, green space for the benefit of the city. And historic districts, it takes on another layer of importance. But
Here's what I think, Terry. Yeah. A couple things you said I should agree. First of all, I think what you need to do is you need to put down in concrete language how you think this should happen. Okay, because I would argue these policies reflect everything you just said. These policies are designed to protect the rear yard. They're designed to make sure that we don't put something without scale. They're not designed to decide what's illegal and what's not. That's not our job. Okay. But the other thing, so I think that if you want to propose a specific limitation or a specific way of looking at it, then you need to put that in language and present to the commissioners. Say, I think you should look at it this way. I think that's what we're doing this part. But the other thing I think is really important here is staff level rules. The premise of them is they're not sent out to the community board. They're not. The record isn't kept open on staff level rules. The point here is it's that the applicant and the staff working together, looking at the materials and the context, decide whether the judgment is made. Do they meet all of the criteria they need to meet? Okay, so that's why the language is important. If you think we're not going to keep it open, post it on the web and say, anyone's got information about this rear yard, please give us information. What you need to do is give us an idea of how to go about formulating the standards that you think are the best.
Okay, Terry, can I just follow up on that? But also the other thing to keep in mind is, when you see things at public hearing and the commissioners look at an immediately adjacent addition, specifically, how does this project out further than the one that you're proposing? Remember, the criteria for the staff says that the majority of the additions in the block have to be that size. So if we're not looking at just the one next to it, we would be looking at the entire block and wanting to see that more than 50% of them have additions of that size. And then just to follow up on the projection, I think that's, it's very, it's an interesting point that you bring up, because we also were thinking about, how do you define the projection? And here was sort of the catch for us, or a little bit of a trick. You could say that it not project more than 7 feet into the rear yard. But the problem is when you have different buildings of different row houses of different depths on the block, and if this bigger house has something that projects 7 feet, and the smaller house wants something that aligns with it or comes out as far as it does, the addition on the smaller building is much larger relative to the building for which it's being asked for. So we want to be in a position where we can say, no, we don't want an addition that big, even though it doesn't project out as much as any other addition in the block. We still think it should be smaller because your building is smaller. So once you start putting in too many numbers, it's kind of hard to give us the ability to reduce.
It's true. I don't know what the mechanism should be, but obviously, where you have a pristine donut, where you have a lot of green space, what the sky exposure plane is, or the equivalent of the sky exposure plane. You're in the back of the building, you're looking out into the garden, there's an angle at which you can see the donut. No rear yard addition should, that angle, there has to be an angle so that a person who buys a house or who rents a house in a historic district looks out the rear. Part of your experience is the green space. And it is protected green space in a historic district. I don't know what the mechanism is, but there should be some way to get a handle on this.
But just also, this is definitely reducing the amount of addition that the staff can approve at staff level. So keep that in mind.
Just to build up that, what
Do you have
uses? Yeah. what kind of uses in row house districts can eliminate rear yards?
Community facility.
Okay. Now this is designed to make it a community
Well,
facility.
they never could have. Because the definite community facilities are full, almost always full lot coverage. We don't
do
all those
that.
always go to the commission. In the back.
How do any of these rule modifications affect? How do any of these rule modifications affect similar rules for freestanding houses? I need to see these are just for row houses, but I know that in our district we have an issue like that.
For all of them. I'll double check.
But in many districts where you have freestanding houses, you have some views into
Right.
the sides, and so they are usually you have less of a chance of anything being not visible, and therefore they usually don't apply. Usually additions to freestanding houses require a public hearing. There's just not really any way to do it at staff level. The Douglaston, we do have rules for Douglaston, and they allow a small addition to be approved by the staff, even if visible, but it's very, very small.